Listen to this episode if you feel like you are constantly chasing new customers in your product-based business and it just kind of feels like you're on a treadmill, or you are just wondering if you can tell if your business is actually going to scale profitably. Today, we are talking all about scaling and really the key hidden metric that I can tell and predict if your business is actually going to scale profitably with the current structure that you have. A lot of founders feel like they're kind of constantly running just to stay in the same place. Yes, they might be growing incrementally, but it's exactly that. It's incremental, and it's not like these hockey stick moments. It's not like, wow, we're really jumping month over month over month and we're really building. It kind of feels like you're almost at this like stable place. Maybe you're launching constantly, you're posting consistently, you're running your ads consistently, you have sales coming in, but your growth kind of feels out of your control, or it just doesn't feel like it's actually compounding to the point that you really want it to be. Every month, it almost feels like, okay, we're like starting over. How do we keep doing the same thing? But it doesn't really feel like it's building. It doesn't feel like that like snowball approach that it's really building on top of each other. That feeling usually comes from one major problem, not from traffic, not from marketing. It honestly comes from retention. And that is what we're talking about today. Because if customers aren't coming back, the business becomes a treadmill. Why your business doesn't feel like it is actually building is because we are lacking retention. And that's what we're talking about today. This is the major factor if your brand will scale profitably, is how well you can retain your customers. Today, I want to discuss the obsession most founders have that's actually backwards. What happens in your business with a good retention rate? What actually drives retention and how can you build it? And how can you start building true, solid retention in your business today? By the end of this episode, we'll discuss the one major piece that if you could do nothing else that drives your retention, you have to look at this one piece today. We're talking all things customer retention today. I absolutely love it. Before we dive in, I just want to take 10 quick seconds to say hello. My name is Madison Page. I'm the host of the Business Growth Podcast. I am a consumer product growth specialist, and I help product-based businesses become the next household name. The people here are the ones that are looking to rise to the top. So without further ado, let's dive on in. The problem that we see so often is that founders are actually obsessed with the wrong thing. They're obsessed with acquisition. They're obsessed with visibility. They're obsessed with traffic. They're obsessed with going viral, with running ads, influencers, and basically just trying to get their name out there. And that's awesome. You can get really far with getting a lot of people out there. But then when I start to dive in and your retention rate is 10%, 12%, 20%, it actually tells me that you are just working way harder than you have to be, and your profit is probably taking a major hit here. All of the things that you are doing right now, like I just said, more traffic, visibility, virality, ads, influencers, retail expansion, all of that is a very top of funnel strategy. However, if your retention rate is taking a hit, that means that you don't actually have a scalable business, because every new customer is costing you money. And where a customer actually makes sense is when they come back month after month after month, or every 60 days, 90 days, 6 months, whatever it takes for your business. If they only buy once, you're basically constantly just paying to replace last month's customers over and over and over again. And what we see here is something that we call CAC in the business. It's customer acquisition cost. Your customer acquisition cost is basically what it costs for you to acquire one customer. If it costs you $40 in ads to acquire one customer, then it really takes a hit on your profit if they only buy from you one time. And so what founders often forget about here is retention. Retention literally means just these people are coming and buying from you more than once. Hopefully, we can have what is called a customer lifetime value much higher than your average order value. Customer lifetime value is basically how many times do they buy from you over the lifetime that this customer can have. So if we kind of look at this economics here, if brand A is only focused on acquisition and their customer only buys once from you, but it costs you $40 in ads and marketing in order to get them, and they pay $60 on one purchase, no matter what your cost of goods are, you're already down to only making $20. And probably that is almost all of your profit coming out of that, which basically tells me that that sale is not actually profitable. This is why so many customers that are stuck with just running ads, stuck with just trying to go viral, stuck with just trying to get visibility. Sure, you might get somebody in, but it's another thing to have somebody be a loyal customer, buy your product for their friends, buy your product every 90 days because they really love it. What happens then is you're spending $40 to acquire them, but they're actually spending $60 every 3 months. So, over 1 year that their revenue is up to $180 and the math continues to build. Suddenly your ad makes more sense. Suddenly your return on ad spend is absolutely skyrocketing. Your margins are improving. Your scaling becomes actually possible because not only is this person buying from you one time, they're buying from you over and over again. When a customer returns to you, your customer acquisition costs decrease, your lifetime value increases, your margins improve, and your revenue compounds without you having to do anything. It's the difference of having new people coming to you every single month and buying from you. Sure, the only way for us to scale there is to just get in front of more eyes. So then we have to pay for more eyes, go viral more often, send to more influencers. Or what we can do instead is we actually look at your business as something that we're trying to last. We're trying to look at every customer as how can we keep them as long as possible. So today we're going to really break this down and talk about what the key metrics are for retention, why somebody does stick around versus stick on this treadmill of just having to get new customers, and what we actually do in order to come from there. Retention turns a business from transactional into predictable and building. Because at one point, your baseline, if you are spending, let's say $100 a day on ads, your baseline can be $20,000. The only way for you to go to $20,000 to $50,000 strictly based on your current system is for you to just double your ad spend. But the way for your business to become profitable, predictable, and keep on building is if 40% of those customers come back again next month. And then 40% of your customers that next month come back again. And your baseline builds from $10,000 or $20,000 a month up to 50 and then 100 and then 150,000. This is how you build a scalable business that consistently builds month over month. It's much more profitable, and honestly, it's much easier on you. When your retention is weak, founders experience something that is very exhausting. You will basically hear you say, and maybe you've said this as well, like your sales spike when we launch, but then they drop, or ads work, but at the end of the day, I just feel like we're not actually profitable. We have traffic, but we don't have enough buyers to actually build on top of it. How do we actually get more traffic? This creates a cycle where founders are constantly creating new products, creating new promotions, creating urgency, trying to get in front of more influencers. That's the only way for them to keep stable. Without retention, growth becomes fragile because if one of those sections goes away, if all of a sudden influencer marketing goes away, now you have no way to make sales because we haven't been building over time. Retention gets overlooked because honestly, it's not very fun and it doesn't really feel like an area that you can tangibly turn on and off because retention are systems behind the scenes. Acquisition feels exciting. It's new customers, it's viral content, it's ads, it's data. And, you're having fun with the creative side and you're basically saying, oh my gosh, this video, you get a lot of vanity metrics in acquisition, but retention is quieter. It's kind of just something in the back end, which is also a major pro behind focusing on retention because you kind of set it up once and it just sticks around. It's something that you are able to kind of systemize, but it isn't the fun, sexy vanity metric style. It's more about product quality, customer experience, community, brand identity, emotional connection to the brand itself. But this quieter work is actually what is going to build you this long-term brand equity. When I look at retention, what I am looking at is how much are you making off of one customer. That's what I care about. When I talk to brands that are making $50 million, the conversations we're having is customer acquisition cost and customer lifetime value. Because basically, again, going back to that economics, if you're selling a $50 product and they buy from you once, but it costs you $40 to acquire them, you're not profiting off of that sale. But if that one customer, sure, they spend $50 the first time, but then they spend 70 the next, and then 80, and then 100, and then they're talking to all their friends and sending their friends, and then they're buying your friends all of your stuff for Christmas, and all of a sudden, that one customer that cost you $40 to acquire is now making you thousands of dollars over time. That is how your profit begins to build. So what drives retention? This is what we're talking about today as the main takeaway. You basically can look at retention is how can we make a customer as happy as possible that you are the no-brainer rebuy the next time that they're looking for exactly what you have. So first things first here, of course, is product satisfaction. If you don't satisfy them with the product that you have, if they're unhappy with, how it's used, the outcome, the quality, any of that, honestly, if your solution that you're saying is a solution is not actually a real solution for them, obviously they're probably not to come back. No amount of marketing can fix a bad product. So when people say product is everything, I don't fully agree with that, but I do agree with that from a retention standpoint. If your product is not very good, your product is not something that at least matches the promises that you're saying that is going to give them, then that is a core problem. Whether you sell a supplement, I think is a great example here. If your supplement is not actually going to help them, people might buy it for 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days and hope that it's good, but you can't outmarket a bad product because at a certain point, they're never going to refer it and they're never going to build retention. So, product satisfaction is number one. But when it comes to product satisfaction is sometimes similar to a supplement, you have to train your customer how to be satisfied with this product. That is something that we'll definitely talk about here. But if you have a supplement, the average person takes their supplement 2 days out of the week. I have a supplement client and we did a bunch of research. The average customers only take their supplement 2 days out of the week, which means I think that's similar to 20-something%, right? And so if your supplement is necessary for someone to take it 7 days out of 7 days for it to be successful, and they don't know that, of course your product satisfaction is bad. So let's say I'm taking a hair growth supplement and I get this hair growth supplement in the mail and I pop it just when I think about it throughout my week, which is usually 2 to 3 days a week. And then all of a sudden I'm 90 days in and then my hair hasn't grown at all because I wasn't taking the supplement more consistently. But I'm still blaming the product. I'm not blaming myself because I didn't know I had to take it. So part of product satisfaction is you have to teach your audience how to actually use your product in the right way to get that solution out. The next one is going to be brand identity. We talk a lot about brand identity here, and I know brand identity is getting so much conversation right now. But yes, brand identity does also build retention on top of magnetism, attraction, and sales up front. But anything that is going to build a solid brand is going to also build retention. Think about your skincare. I don't know how you consume skincare, but I have used the same skincare products for years. I have bought the exact same skincare products. I might buy a new one here and there. I might go and I say, I see people on TikTok talking about this. I'll buy that. Let me see how it goes. And then I use it and I'm like, I don't love it. Right? And then I say, okay, I'm going to go back to my ride or die. You want to be that ride or die that people love. That is who you are trying to be in every industry. How you build that is building brand identity. Customers return to brands that they identify with. If you look at this is like Rode, Skims, Stanley, all of those companies have done a really good job of building brand identity. Basically saying people that love this brand look and engage with this brand like this, or they engage in life. Their lifestyle looks like this. And that is why you choose this brand over others. The product does matter, but they're not just here because of product. They're here because what does this product make me feel about myself? Every time I purchase from this brand, I get a little bit of a dopamine hit more than if I just buy it off of Amazon. There's plenty of products I could just go and buy off of Amazon, but I buy a different brand instead because I like how it makes me feel. I like how it makes me feel when I wear it. I like how I feel like I am almost, perceived when I'm wearing this brand over other brands. You have to think about why people purchase things. So let's talk leggings. For me, I'm in a journey right now to try to switch a lot of my things over to 100% organic. We wear a lot of polyester items. I've started to switch certain items. Now, because I could go on Amazon and I could buy 100% organic underwear from some random drop shipper on Amazon, but I choose to go to a company like Pact, and I have bought a lot of underwear over there for probably triple the cost than if I were to just go on Amazon. Why do I do that? Is because I have trust in that company. I like their brand identity, and I like what it means that I stand for. They donate 1% of profits. It says that I'm standing for what this brand stands for as well. That is what brand identity is building this connection to who I am. What is the identity I feel when I purchase from this brand, which makes me want to come back. Hey, I've been getting some DMs that you may not know what I do outside of hosting this podcast. I actually work with product-based business owners every single day to help them grow and scale their brand. If you really want my eyes one-on-one inside of your business to look at your strategy, to look at your funnels, to look at your data, and to develop your next campaign or bring your business or your idea to life, that is exactly what I do every single day. I've worked with 500 plus businesses across 70 different industries to help them become the next household name in their industry. If you are craving a business brain, a strategic advisor, a data-centered, obsessed person to come into your business and help you bring your idea to life, I'm your gal. Come on over to my Instagram at @thisismadison page, DM me support. Otherwise, you can click the link in the show notes to apply today. Okay, back to the episode. The next one is community. When customers feel like they are a part of something, they stick around. So community creates repeat purchases, advocacy, referrals, which is why, community-driven brands grow faster, which is why if you've been a part of my world for any amount of time, you know that I preach community-driven brands because I preach building customer retention. Community-driven brands mean that these people want to support your brand over other brands. Similar to my example with Pact is I feel like I am a part of their brand. They send out emails and they say, hey, what colors would you like? Hey, what styles are you missing? Hey, we're developing these new things. And I feel like I am a part of a community. They might teach me about different things. They send information and they're really teaching me more about this journey of switching out of all of my products into these 100% organic content products more than just saying, hey, buy more stuff. And so because I feel so connected to them now because they've provided me other information, I feel like I've been a part of their brand and development of some of their products. Yeah, I want to continue to buy from them because I feel like I'm kind of one of the bunch. I'm one of, the people involved within the business. And so we look at these things and yes, it is product satisfaction, but on top of product satisfaction is we do need a brand piece. We need the brand identity that is built. What does this actual purchase mean about me? What does it mean that the lifestyle I'm living? And then the community is how connected do I actually feel to this brand? But above all else, when I try to build people's retention, I have plenty of customers, clients that come to me and they have, 7 to 10% retention rate, which is really low. We'll talk about what a healthy retention rate looks like in a second. When people have a low retention rate, customer experience is the thing that I focus on the most in order to increase this retention rate. Like I said, going back to the supplement example, if I don't know how to use your product, I'm going to blame the product. I'm not going to blame myself. And so it is on us to really coach people through this customer experience to make sure that they know exactly what they have to do to have the best customer experience. Customer experience can be packaging, it can be shipping, it can be email flows after, it can be loyalty programs. But really what it is it's really making sure that your customer knows how to use your product. The biggest thing that I do within customer experience is A, what does it look like when it comes in a box? Is this box just thrown together with a loose product inside? There's all these videos out there about Rode. This is something that I think Rode does really poorly for such a great brand, is that you literally get this box and there's a random lip gloss tossed inside and it has no experience about opening their product at all. And then when you get a package that has an insert that that says, here's how to use your product. They could have done so much better within their packaging that when you receive your product, you get this dopamine hit. It's kind of like Christmas morning. Think about if you were to have a Christmas morning and then you hated all of your gifts, or like your gifts were kind of lackluster. You would be a little bummed. We feel the same way when we order something in the mail and we go to open it. If it feels kind of lackluster, it's going to bum us out. We don't want our purchases to be low dopamine. So the two major areas here within customer experience is, yes, your packaging and like the actual physical opening of the product experience. Have you tested what they look like when they get shipped across the country? Does it feel like it's an experience of them really opening it? But on the other side of this, a lot of it is your email flows, is the communication that they got prior to actually receiving this product. Are they overwhelmed? Are they confused? Do they know exactly how to use it? Do they have questions? Do they know the best practices? Do they know the common mistakes? We tackle a lot of that in customer communication in between their purchase and them receiving their product. What is really important here is that people feel supported. You've heard me say it, in transitional moments. One of the major transitional moments is they have given you their credit card. Now they have 7 to 10 days to wait for Christmas morning to come, where it plops on their doorstep. We want to make sure that moment they have gotten so excited since they placed that order, that the moment that it drops on their doorstep, they are informed, they are excited, they know exactly how to use that product. This is the thing that reinforces relationships on the very first purchase, that you know exactly how to use your product. This is one of the major pieces that we fix when it comes to retention, is I add more support within the communication, making sure that after that purchase happens, obviously they're going to buy from you again if they feel very supported. So yes, your product satisfaction has to be there. Yes, the brand identity has to be there. Yes, the community aspect on social has to be there. But above all else, the one thing, if you don't think about anything else, is the customer experience. When we look at your overall retention rate, when we're kind of talking about what a healthy retention rate is, anything under 20% is pretty weak. That means that out of every 5 customers, only 1 is coming back. That is a very low retention rate. We are going for like a 30 to a 40%. An average, I would say, is around 20 to 30. And honestly, anything over 40 is actually a red flag. This is one of those metrics that we have to keep within a certain buffer. A retention rate that is actually too high, which I'm sure some of you guys here are like, no, my retention rate is 40, 50, 60%, is actually saying that you have an unhealthy business in a different side. You're actually not getting in enough new customers, which tells me pretty soon you're going to milk all of the customers that you do have. Their customer lifetime value is going to drop off and your sales will drop off as well. So this is a number, as long as you are within 20 to 40%, I am okay. But anything over 40 and even getting closer to 40, that's starting to be where 1 in every 2 customers is coming back, which is great. But that also tells me that we don't have enough new people sampling your product in order to consistently build on top of themselves. So when growth starts to really compound is in between the 30 to 40%, because out of every 10 purchases, we have 4 of them coming back. And then next month, they're going to come back. And then we have another 6 people on top of that that's trying it new. Out of those 6, again, another 4 is going to come back. And so it really starts to compound over time when we start to build more and more people that are coming back month after month or quarter over quarter. Again, retention rate is one of the only data points that I'm looking at that I really want within a certain amount of percentage here. When we're really looking at this, many people in the beginning stages of their business, I've seen people with a 90% retention rate. What that tells me is that you have a really great loyal brand community, but that also tells me that you're not able to convert those new people, which is actually very detrimental in the long term. It tells me that your marketing is probably lacking, your messaging is probably lacking. And we can talk about that another time. If you have that question, definitely let me know. So instead of only asking, how do I get more customers, which I know is something that you might be doing right now, you might be saying, okay, Maddie, what is my major focus? I want you to sit and say right now, what is your major focus with all of your objectives? If it's influencer marketing, if it's ads, if it's trying to get content to get a lot of views, your goal right now might actually just be acquisition and you're not actually returning. So I recommend right now, while we're listening to this podcast, I want you to go into your Shopify dashboard or whatever website you're on. Some people call it a retention rate. Some people call it a return customer rate. It's return customer rate on Shopify. It's right up top. And I want you to look at what yours is. I don't want you to look at a return customer rate based on 7 days. I want you to look at it over like a 30 or a 90-day period. Why that is because you might have a launch, and on launch days, your return customer rate can be 60%. On a launch day or a sale, your return customer rate can definitely boost quite a bit because your ride or die people are coming and buying and they're really excited about it. So we want to look over time at the purchases that are happening in the day-to-day in between. What is really the overall health? So look at 90 days, look at 12 months, look at a lot longer and just see what the difference in retention rate is over time. So now I want you to look at your activities and what are you doing to retain people? Is your post-purchase email flow optimized? Do you have really solid customer experience? Are you educating people on how to use your product, or are you just asking for a review as soon as they get it? Because that feels very transactional. I want you to shift your thought into how do I actually get more customers, into how do I make this customer literally come back all of the dang time? How can I make it where my customer is not only coming back once, but they're coming back twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, and then they're telling all of their friends about it because they absolutely love it. That is where we build compounding businesses, because the brands that scale sustainably don't grow through just acquisition. You expand through acquisition, but they grow through relationships. They compound naturally and easily through relationships and retention. This is where we really build a business that feels like it's growing without us having to be doing a ton of things. We're constantly balancing, okay, how can we get new people in, but also how can we sell to our current customers? So to recap here just a little bit, we just want to make sure that when we're looking at our retention rate, if it's too low, it tells us that we're not actually retaining these customers. And our customers, it doesn't mean that they're not happy. It just means that they're not being supported and being convinced to want to buy from you a second time. There's a lot more that comes to retention than just saying, hey, here's another discount off of your second product. The most important purchase you will ever get is the second purchase. Because if somebody buys from you a second time, they are 80% more likely to buy from you a third time and a fourth time and a fifth time. So your focus needs to not just be how can I acquire this customer, but how can I acquire this customer and get them to buy that second time? Because once they buy a second time, that is the hardest purchase for them to get. They most likely will consistently buy, because that tells us that they liked it enough to come back again. And if you can consistently provide a good experience, they're going to want to keep coming back. Then you become their no-brainer, their new non-negotiable. That's really what we're looking at here. So if it's too low, it means that we aren't able to actually retain a customer. And if it's too high, it means that we're actually retaining customers so well. We have a great brand loyalty, but we actually can't bring in any new customers, which is a totally different conversation. Retention is not a marketing strategy. It is truly a signal of demand. It is a signal of a leak basically in your bucket. A signal that the brand is doing something right is when your retention rate is solid. When customers come back, they are telling you this product mattered, this brand stuck with me, and I really want to be a part of this brand more often. When this starts happening consistently, everything gets easier, because again, your math starts to compound. At first, you have a baseline of $10,000 sales. And now that month of $10,000 sales, if 40% of them come back next month, now that means that the $10,000 new dollars in sales, we also have another $4,000 on top of that. So we just went from $10,000 to $14,000 next month. And again, not every product is needed every month, but just as an example to keep math easy. So if we have $14,000 as our new base, now we're taking another $5,000 on top of that, which allows for now our new base to be, $17,000, $18,000. So you can see how this base does really build over time. And this is where you have really exponential month over month growth. This is why building a community really matters, is because they feel connected to you enough to want to come back. So how a customer journey really should go. Your job is not done at the end of acquisition. Your job is not done at the sale. Your job is actually never done, because because we have to keep retaining them. So our goal is, yes, of course, people have to find you. You need visibility. You need to nurture them into a community. You need to get them to buy a first time. A first time purchase is actually very easy because all it takes is enough intrigue and enough interest, enough desire to be like, all right, let me try it. I'll try to buy from you. Then our goal is, after they purchase, how can we get them to buy again? Now they bought a second time. Now how do we get them to subscribe or keep coming back over and over again? This is where your business compounds, your life gets a lot easier, and your business becomes a lot more profitable. I hope that this conversation was helpful for you. I don't think we've ever really talked about retention here, which is kind of crazy. I may have, who knows? But at this point, we are looking to build snowball effects. We are looking to keep on building and building with you actually having to work less. If you want to work less and you want to make more and you want your business to consistently grow, you have to have a focus on retention. This is a conversation that I love to have. We will be diving into it in our Founders Cafe, which is our completely free podcast community. We have moved our free podcast community over to School, and it's working so much better. We had it in Slack. I had a lot of you guys say, Maddie, I'm never in Slack. Can we move it somewhere? Of course, I'm feedback driven and I'm so happy to move it for everybody. So we moved it over into School. We have a lot new features, a lot of new bonuses, and it's much easier to connect in there. And so if you want to talk about retention, hop on over to School. Let's talk about retention. Would love to do that. You can click the link in the show notes and join our free podcast community. It's just a place that if you love this podcast, you want to dive deeper into the topics, into the conversations, and integrating them into your business. It's a perfect place for you to do that. I hope this was a great conversation for you. I want you to run on over to your Shopify, look at your return customer rate, look at your post-purchase email flow, look at your packaging, look at your brand identity, look at your community building. What are you doing to actually retain your customers? If it's nothing, that's something that we absolutely have to add to the list ASAP. I love you. I'm rooting for you. I'm in your corner always, and I will talk to you in the next episode. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Business Growth Podcast. We put out new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. So if you love this one, make sure that you're subscribed so you never miss a conversation. If you want more conversations with me and other business owners, make sure that you join our completely free podcast community, the Founders Cafe. The link is in the show notes. You can get bonus resources, access to free coaching calls, as well as connect with like-minded business owners like yourself. Make sure that you rate and review the podcast 5 stars, share it with a friend to keep those conversations moving, and come back every Tuesday and Friday. I'll see you there.